Hello and welcome to another Imperator Rome video. I mean, it's kind of hard to call this a Dev Diary video, even though that's probably what I'll be calling it in the title, because as you can see, there's not a whole lot of Dev Diary to go through. So I do have some other things to say, mostly in regards to the Pompey patch that was released in beta a little while ago. But yeah, let's just go through the Dev Diary real quick. Just so we can get on to the Pompey stuff. So hello everyone and welcome to another Imperator Dev Diary. Today we've got a bit of a filler, as I've already told you about the Pompey update and you can try it as a beta. Let's take a look at the most popular nations to play in the last 2 weeks. So Rome up there with 19.85%, huge lead over Sparta in second place. Then we go to Egypt, Macedon, Carthage, etc., etc. So I would say there are a couple of surprises in there. Velutia at 8th place. That is the Irish tribe. Starts with, I think, only 2 provinces. They were a bit of a surprise. And then also Caledonia down there in 20th place is a little bit of a surprise too. But maybe that's just my own personal bias. I don't know. I can imagine, with it being the only Irish tribe and Ireland being kind of popular among history nerds, maybe that's why, I guess. But even so, yeah, the top 5 for sure I would have guessed would be the top 5. Maybe not in that order, maybe I'd put Macedon a little bit higher, but otherwise, yeah, that sort of makes sense to me. But even so, yeah, that's the Dev Diary. It's clear that Rome is the most popular nation by far. Was nobody surprised by that. That was obvious. Even before adding in the new events and co-consoles for the Pompey update. And we hope to be back with some more interesting diaries next week. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, etc., etc. I'm joking. Anyway, so the Pompey update, it releases in 2 days. So hopefully we'll get a few fixes between now and then. But I've got some things to talk about. So, firstly, I'll talk about pirates. So, somebody posted this picture here in the forums. Basically, kind of a little bit curious about why the pirate fleet was so bloody huge. 55 ships is an excessive amount, for sure, especially considering they have said that pirates only really should be getting light ships, and as you can see here, they most certainly have more than just light ships. So Trintracula has commented on that. So a bunch of things broke with pirates in the second Pompey update on Friday, and most I think we know about, but this is a very big fleet and it's new to him. Does he have a save? Blah, blah, blah. Pirates are only supposed to have fleets of 10 to 15 ships and only light ships. They get a very heavy modifier, the penalty, to capturing ships, so that in the first version of the open beta they almost never did. I suspect something odd is going on to make the fleet that big. Now, I disagree with him quite a bit. Let me just show all posts so I can show my response to him on this. It might be an unintended and a bug, but to be honest, I kind of like it. I think pirates should have a decent capture chance, and I'd honestly be totally fine with keeping this kind of thing around, and maybe for balance reducing the amount of pirate fleets and make them come out of port less regularly. Because right now, as soon as your fleet reaches a certain size and you can afford to keep it maintained, pirates cease being a mechanic you care about. Larger pirate fleets equals more fun, in my opinion. Of course, everything is just opinion here unless I state otherwise. Yeah, so just to elaborate on that a little bit, I've played a few games of, I'm just going to call it Pompey. Played a few games of Pompey since the patch was released. And yeah, pirates in the very, very early game are irritating. They're an annoyance. They're really kind of a pain in the ass. But yeah, as soon as you are able to get a fleet of like 20 ships, and you can have them fully maintained, or I guess the middle maintained, the pirates don't seem to bother you anymore. If you have forts placed on your ports, they cease to be a problem anymore, and I kind of like the idea that pirates capture ships. That seems to be kind of my idea of what a pirate is. They capture your shit, including your ships. And if that leads them to having a large fleet, so that's kind of okay with me. Maybe have some attrition on them, or have them, so they wouldn't keep that large fleet. Maybe they have modifiers that they get damaged more than usual. Maybe they don't maintain their ships as well. Maybe 80% hull repair would be the maximum that they could go up to. Something like that. Just something to have them balanced, but still have them be a challenge. Have them be something you need to interact with more than just, oh, there's a pirate fleet, let's undock my ships and murder them. Oh, they're now gone. Because that's not fun. Maybe in the very early game, it's something to deal with, but then, like I said, as soon as you become strong enough, it's no longer a challenge, and challenge is kind of integral to enjoyment, for me at least. Yeah, that's basically it. Another interesting topic that came up on the forums is this one. So, someone complaining about problems with warfare. And I'm going to read it all because it is an interesting post. Several mechanics regarding the way warfare works in Imperator that don't really fit the period. So, firstly, ridiculously low supply limits. Seems like Paradox wanted to discourage the Doomstack effect by requiring armies to be broken up into smaller pieces. The problem is that isn't really correct for the classical period. Roving armies with an arm rather than continuous front lines. There are areas where attrition should be a major issue, for example Gadrosia, but this shouldn't be as severe as it is in more developed parts of the map. So, with this, I'm going to disagree with him. Because, yes, large roaming armies were totally a thing. I'm not going to disagree with that at all. Like, the size of some battles in the period of antiquity, this is the classical period, were pretty fucking huge. That's not anything that anyone can really disagree with. The numbers are there. However, they didn't manage to just walk around without any problems whatsoever. For example, Hannibal, everyone knows who Hannibal is, the guy who crossed the Alps with the elephants. Yeah. When he left Carthage, he left with an army of 90,000 men. When he arrived in Italy, he had an army of 30,000 men. He lost 60,000 men to disease, to death, to starvation, all this kind of shit, which is pretty well summed up by attrition. Hannibal suffered significant amounts of attrition bringing his army to Italy. And attrition's already in the game. So what I would say is you are very free to make these roaming armies. You're very free to make these huge doom stacks. As long as you're also willing to accept the fact that you're going to take an awful lot of attrition, just as they did in history. Carpet sieging. Currently, you have to manually take every city in a province before the war score counts it. Realistically, all cities in a province should probably surrender once the capital and any forts are taken. This I will agree with. At the moment, yeah, forts will siege anything in their zone of control when you take them. That's fine, but I really like the suggestion he had there. If you take the capital and any forts in the region, having the entire province then get sieged, that sounds like a really good mechanic. It means that you no longer have to individually siege every single city in a province, and it makes you kind of want to defend that capital because it's more important now. You know that if that capital is undefended, then you lose that capital, that entire province will submit to the invaders. I really like that suggestion. I hope that gets implemented because I don't know if it makes all that much sense, but from a gameplay perspective, yeah, I'm on board. I'm totally on board. Indecisive battles. Wars in antiquity were often decided in a singular, decisive engagement rather than prolonged campaigns. The Second Punic War is a significant exception, and this is because Rome was unusual compared to the successor kingdoms or Carthage in terms of having significant manpower reserves, blah, 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 blah. Right, so I am going to both agree and disagree with this one. We disagree, we agree, and now we do both. Yeah. Basically, we know about the decisive battles because they are more prominent, they are written about more. To say that smaller battles, more indecisive battles didn't happen is probably wrong. There are plenty of examples of incredibly long, drawn-out wars in history that, during this period, like he says there, the successor kingdoms, they had quite a lot of very long wars. Pretty sure there is a good reply to this one as well that I'm going to look for because I can't remember the name of the war, and somebody has... well, there's the 90,000 to 30,000 thing. There we go, here. Peloponnesian War lasted 70 years. The Punic and Sicilian War, the Carthaginian mercenary wars, Carthaginian campaigns in Spain, the Egyptian rebellions, the Persian Scythian War, etc., etc. Wars that lasted for one battle that were the exception, and usually those were over minor border issues, although in the case of larger empires, minor might be a whole province, not conquests of whole countries and empires. It took Philip and Alexander 3 decisive battles and numerous sieges to conquer Persia. Yeah, so basically, while it's understandable why he would think this, he's unfortunately wrong. So, going to the dev replies again. Chain gun here. Gameplay is more important than anything else. Yes, we can have a single battle to determine each war, but then there's no actual wartime gameplay anymore. You have to take every city in a province before the war score counts it. This one he basically agrees with. Carpet sieges add a lot of micro, while the variation in warfare based on presence of forts is not nice. I'm not sure the positive impact is worth the negative. He wants to discourage the Doom stack. Doom stacks have few tactical requirements beyond putting all units in a single stack for most countries that haven't grown huge enough to have multiple fronts yet. This is the primary thing that makes land warfare in EU4 and Imperator Rome alike way more interesting than naval warfare, which is far more about moving a single Doom stack and wrecking the enemy in a single naval battle. And then he's talking about indecisive battles. The balance has been carefully tuned so that sometimes able to reinforce. Being able to reinforce from all of the empires is bad gameplay-wise. Never being able to reinforce is equally bad gameplay. It's all in a fairly good place right now. Blah, 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 etc. The war score in Supremacy Wars is a known issue, and he suspects it'll be changed. So, yeah, some more changes coming as well. So, yeah, just some interesting replies to some interesting comments and posts. But that's pretty much all I have to talk about today. So, I want to ask you, how are you liking the Pompey patch? Have you been playing many games of it? Do you think it is a big improvement? My own personal opinion is it is a huge improvement, but I still think the main thrust of improvement is going to come in September with the Cicero patch and the removal of mana. Right now, I'm currently playing as Dobunia. I tried to do the... well, obviously I can't get achievements at the moment because they're disabled in the patch. But I was just checking to see if the Perfidious Albion achievement would be possible, and I'm sure it is possible by somebody who is better at the game than I am, but I am surely not good enough for it. At the moment, of course, I am Dobunia. I have these 4 guys as vassals, and only one of them got to a high enough opinion so that I could integrate him. None of the others are possible to get to 190 right now. And so these are not going to be integrated, and I can't even form Britannia, despite owning, even indirectly, all of the land for it. So it's going to be difficult to get that one. That's probably going to be I definitely think it's the hardest achievement in the game, for sure. I can't see anyone really getting that reliably. But anyway, I want to know what you think of the patch. Have you been enjoying it, etc., etc.? And yeah, thank you all very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.